So get this right. There's this group of Italian researchers, and they're making some pretty big claims. They say they found a massive underground city beneath the Giza pyramids.
Really? Like under the pyramids themselves?
Yeah, and not just like a little tunnel or something. We're talking huge. They're saying it could be 10 times larger than the pyramids above ground, going down thousands of feet.
Wow. That's a lot to take in. Where did they even get this idea from?
Well, apparently they were using some high-tech radar stuff to scan the area, like how sonar uses sound waves to map the ocean floor. They're doing something similar, but with radar pulses, trying to create a picture of what's hidden deep underground.
Okay, so using radar to see underground, that makes sense. But a whole city, that sounds pretty far-fetched.
It does, doesn't it? I mean, it's Giza. We've been studying those pyramids for centuries. You'd think if there was a giant city down there, we would have found at least some hint of it by now.
Right. You'd think so.
Exactly. But that's why we're here, right? To dig into this, look at the evidence, and see if this city is really all it's cracked up to be.
All right, let's do it. What exactly are these researchers claiming they found with this radar?
So according to their big announcement, their radar picked up these strange vertical structures, kind of like giant cylinders. They say there are 8 of them, going down over 2,000 feet below the Khafre Pyramid, which is one of the 3 big ones at Giza.
Over 2,000 feet? That's incredibly deep.
I know, and get this. They're saying they detected even more structures even further down, like another 2,000 feet deeper.
So potentially 4,000 feet underground, that's deeper than some skyscrapers are tall.
I know, right? It's hard to even wrap your head around it. And the researchers, they're claiming this is groundbreaking stuff. Like, it could completely rewrite what we think we know about ancient Egypt.
Well, if it's true, it would definitely be huge news.
Absolutely. So it's not just random cylinders scattered around down there. According to their interpretation, these cylinders are arranged in 2 neat rows, and they're surrounded by what look like descending spiral pathways.
Spiral pathways. Interesting. Sounds almost like some kind of elaborate entrance or access point. What do they think these pathways lead to?
Well, they believe they lead to even larger structures, maybe something like giant chambers or halls. And here's the kicker. They think this whole thing, the cylinders, the pathways, the chambers, that it's all part of a massive interconnected system under all 3 pyramids.
Okay, now that's where my skepticism really kicks in. We're talking Khufu, Khafre, and Menkaure, the 3 biggest and most famous pyramids at Giza. You're telling me they think there's something even bigger than those hidden underneath?
That's what they're claiming. They're suggesting these underground chambers could be comparable in size to the pyramids themselves.
Wow. All right, so let me get this straight. We've got potential entry points, spiral pathways, giant chambers, and all of this spread out under the entire Giza complex. I mean, that would be absolutely mind-blowing if it were true. But is there anything more to their interpretation? Any hints about the purpose of this alleged underground world?
There is, actually, and this is where it gets really interesting. The researchers, they noticed something they call a remarkably strong correlation between what they saw on their radar and the legendary Halls of Amenti.
The Halls of Amenti. Now, those are something I'm familiar with.
Oh, yeah. Tell me more about those.
Well, the Halls of Amenti are like this mythical realm in ancient Egyptian beliefs. They're often depicted as a subterranean world, a place of knowledge and power where souls go after death. It's a concept with deep spiritual significance.
So are they saying that this potential underground complex at Giza could be the real-life Halls of Amenti?
Well, they're not saying it definitively, but they're definitely drawing a connection. And I can see why it's tempting to make that leap. Finding such a complex structure beneath Giza, a place already steeped in mystery and legend, it's almost too perfect, isn't it? But it's important to remember that correlation doesn't equal causation. Just because these structures might resemble the descriptions of the Halls of Amenti doesn't automatically make them one and the same.
Right, we have to be careful about jumping to conclusions. But I'm curious about the technology itself. What exactly are they using to peer so deep beneath the surface?
They claim to be using a pretty advanced method. They call it a new radar technique, and it combines data from satellites with the tiny vibrations from seismic activity, those little tremors that happen in the Earth.
So they're using vibrations to see underground.
In a way, yes. They analyze these vibrations to create 3D images of what's down there without actually having to dig.
That sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie. And it sounds like this is only the beginning for them.
Yeah. The team has said they plan to keep studying Giza with this technology through 2025. So we can probably expect more headlines and updates from them in the future.
Okay, so we have this amazing, potentially game-changing discovery, a potential link to ancient myths, and this cutting-edge technology behind it all. But we also have to consider the other side of the coin, right?
Yeah.
What are other experts saying about this? Are they as excited as the Italian researchers?
Well, not exactly. There's been quite a bit of skepticism from other scientists, especially those who specialize in radar technology.
Really? Why is that?
One of the main concerns is about the depth. Professor Lawrence Conyers, a leading expert in radar technology, has publicly questioned whether the technology used by the Italian team can actually penetrate that far down into the ground.
Yeah, so the radar might not even be able to see that deep.
That's the argument. He's saying that the signals would get weaker and weaker the further they travel. And at 4,000 feet, the data would be so distorted, it'd be almost impossible to get a clear picture of anything. He even went as far as calling the idea of a vast city at that depth a huge exaggeration.
Okay, so one expert's saying the technology isn't up to the task. But what about those radar images the Italian team is sharing? What does he think those might be showing, if not a giant city?
He suggested there might be smaller structures down there, things like shafts, chambers, or even just natural geological formations. He's also pointed out that the Giza Plateau was probably already considered a special place long before the pyramids were built. So there could be all sorts of older structures, maybe even predating the pyramids, that we haven't discovered yet.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, the ancient Egyptians weren't just going to pick any random spot to build their most important monuments.
Yeah. Exactly. They were very intentional about their choices, and they often built upon existing sacred sites. Remember the Mayan pyramids we talked about before? Many of those were constructed directly over caves or cenotes, natural sinkholes that were considered gateways to the underworld.
Oh, right. I remember that. So it's not outlandish to think that there might be something significant beneath the Giza pyramids, even if it's not on the scale of a whole city.
Precisely. It's all about scale and perspective. Professor Conyers isn't saying there's nothing down there, but he's urging caution about interpreting the radar data. He thinks the Italian team might be overstating their findings.
So what would it take to actually prove or disprove this claim? What's the next step?
Professor Conyers is very clear on this point. Targeted excavations. He believes that digging is the only way to confirm or deny the existence of these alleged structures with certainty. He's doubtful that even with their fancy proprietary data analysis software, the radar can provide definitive evidence.
So we need to get boots on the ground, shovels in hand, and start digging.
In essence, yes. That's what it would take to settle this debate once and for all.
Now, I remember reading that one of the lead researchers on this project has a bit of an interesting background, something that might make some people raise an eyebrow.
Ah, yes. Corrado Malanga, one of the researchers from the University of Pisa. He's also known for his work in ufology.
Ufology, huh? So he's into UFOs.
Well, that's what his background suggests. He's even appeared on YouTube discussing UFO sightings in Italy.
That's intriguing. Does that affect how we should view this research? I mean, does his interest in UFOs make him less credible as an archaeologist or scientist?
But that's a tricky question. I don't think it automatically disqualifies him or his work, but it's definitely something to keep in mind. Some people might see his background in ufology as a sign that he's more likely to jump to extraordinary conclusions.
That's fair. I guess it's up to each individual to decide how much weight they want to give to that information. It definitely adds another layer to the story. So has this team published any other research related to Giza?
Actually, yes. Malanga and Filippo Biondi, another researcher on the project, co-authored a paper back in 2022 where they used radar to study the Khafre pyramid.
And what did they find in that study?
Interestingly, even back then, they were claiming to have found hidden rooms and ramps within the pyramid, as well as some kind of thermal anomaly, a heat signature near its base. They also reported detecting those 8 cylinder-shaped structures below the pyramid, along with spiral formations and hidden chambers.
Wow. So this current claim about the underground city isn't completely out of the blue. It seems like they've been building towards this idea for a while now.
It does appear that way. It suggests a continuity in their thinking and a consistent pattern in their interpretations of the radar data.
Okay, so before we go any further, let's give our listeners a quick refresher on the Giza pyramids.
Good idea.
For anyone who's unfamiliar, Giza is this incredible ancient complex located just outside of Cairo in Egypt. It's most famous for the 3 main pyramids, Khufu, Khafre, and Menkaure. These were built as tombs for the pharaohs, the rulers of ancient Egypt, over 4,500 years ago.
And just to clarify, the pyramids aren't all the same size. The Great Pyramid, which is Khufu's tomb, is the largest and oldest of the 3. It was originally a whopping 480 feet tall, with a base that's over 750 feet wide.
Imagine the effort it took to build something that massive.
It's almost unfathomable. And to think, this was all done without modern technology, using only human labor and ingenuity.
It's truly a testament to the power and sophistication of ancient Egyptian civilization.
Absolutely. And it's one of the reasons why Giza continues to fascinate us today. It's a place that holds so much history, mystery, and potential for new discoveries.
Speaking of which, this new claim about the underground city has really captured people's imaginations. It's gone viral online, sparking all sorts of discussions and debates.
It certainly caught the public's attention, and it's understandable why. The idea of a hidden world beneath one of the most iconic landmarks in the world, it's like something straight out of an adventure novel. It speaks to our innate curiosity and our desire to uncover the secrets of the past.
Absolutely. So, to summarize, we have these Italian researchers claiming to have found a huge underground city beneath Giza using advanced radar technology. They're even drawing connections to ancient myths. But we also have other experts who are skeptical, questioning the reliability of the technology and the interpretation of the data. It's a classic clash between a potentially revolutionary discovery and the need for rigorous scientific scrutiny.
That's a great way to put it. And I think that's the key takeaway here for our listeners. This situation perfectly illustrates the dynamic nature of scientific discovery. We should always be open to new ideas and possibilities, but we also need to be critical thinkers. We have to evaluate the evidence carefully, consider different perspectives, and be wary of jumping to conclusions.
So even if this vast city turns out to be more fiction than fact, could there still be something hidden beneath Giza, something smaller perhaps, but still significant? And what new technologies might we need to finally uncover all of Giza's secrets?
Those are excellent questions to ponder. It's a reminder that exploration and discovery are ongoing processes, and there's still so much we don't know about the past.
And if you're as fascinated by these mysteries as we are, make sure to subscribe for more deep dives into history, science, and the unexplained. We'll be back next time with another intriguing topic and all the insights you need to stay informed.
Until then, keep exploring.